I want to go drag racing. This is my 1965 Dodge Dart. It was previously sitting for well over a decade, but that isn't going to stop us from bringing it back to life and hitting the racetrack. It's a factory 4-speed car with a later 318 swapped in, a comp cam, a 323 sure grip rear axle, and a couple other odds and ends. Now, there's a ton of potential here, we just gotta unlock it. We had to get spark, fuel, and most importantly oil pressure before this thing could even come back to life. But once the lifters finally pumped up after a long day's worth of work, it fired up for the very first time in many years. Ah, that's what it was. That timing, that's what it was. Did you hear that? So we threw on a set of tires and drove it up to the shop where we could begin the process of putting this Dart back on the road where it belongs. And the first step included getting all the brakes working. After that, I fixed the broken hood by welding in some new supports and giving the car a quick cleanup on the inside. Now it was time for our maiden voyage. First, second, which is really weird. That's terrible. Hey, at least 2 patches though. Gotta try this. Well, that worked a little bit. Oh, I killed it. I was not impressed in the slightest by this little 318 because our carburetor was not good. So a quick swap yielded some better results. I was feeling a little bit overconfident at this point, so we started adding some performance modifications as cheaply as possible. Step 1 was to cut the mufflers open for a free-flowing exhaust. Then we ditched the heavy and restrictive cast iron intake for a ported aluminum dual plane. And finally, a 100 shot of nitrous fixes anything, so I tucked a bottle behind the seat. So then we attended a drag racing event with classes that I didn't necessarily apply to any of them. So they allowed me a single run just to test the car. So I opened the bottle up and let it rip. Except this happened. We come home to find that the clutch is absolutely cooked. It can't even pull the car from a hard launch anymore. So we yanked the transmission to discover the damage, but thankfully, I found a new stock replacement clutch to go right back in its place. And on Nitrous, well, it rips. Until I broke it again. Well, I goofed up, throwout bearing pushed through the fingers of the clutch. So this go around, I want to bring this Dart back for a redemption run at the drag strip. Will it handle nitrous? Can it even make it down the track? Stick around to the end of the video to find out. Well, the last time we drove it, the nitrous did great, except the clutch did not. We blew that up, and after the fact, I noticed that the intake ports, the intake crossover for the coolant, is leaking pretty severely. So we're gonna fix all that today. But first off, let's get this rat's nest out of the intake. And our nitrous plate is still there. Glad to see you stayed. We've got a gasket in the carburetor over here. This is my Edelbrock AVS2. I just put it on here because it seems to respond well. I have this on my other Dart. It's the exact same carburetor that was on it. And look, I was smart enough to leave all of our hardware conveniently where I could find it. I'm gonna bolt all this down. We had nitrous on this thing, and boy, did it want to run. I mean, it was awesome. It was just the clutch was the limiting factor, because if you remember in that video, man, it was beat to pieces. It was cooked. And I don't even know how it was still functioning, to be honest with you, but we still have all of our plumbing hooked up, all of our fuel lines and what have you. So all we really got to do is just run it right back into the fuel line here, and we should be set. Even got the wide open throttle switch. I think it still works. Hang on. Oh, look at there. Lined up perfectly. Yes. Got the fuel line on.
Oh, he's a little tight.
Oh, what is that? Quarter? What are you feeling? What's your flavor?
Yeah, it's a quarter.
For $1 million.
Too small.
Wrong.
I was hoping you were wrong.
What do you think? 930 seconds?
If it is, that would be good.
I'll give you $500,000 if it is.
Now, whose idea?
Is it?
Yes.
Huh. It's probably metric. It's probably something dumb. For some reason, we thought it would be a good idea to put metric on this thing. Probably because we just found it in the floor. We found it in the floor and said, yeah, that looks good.
Like normal.
Bugs everywhere,
yes.
Sweat everywhere. This thing does have one of the best exhaust notes of any vehicle, you know it?
Well, thanks to that custom exhaust work, you know.
Yeah, that does help a lot. I just noticed that there's a bolt missing on the master cylinder. Is that a problem, or do you... We just ignore that, don't we?
We're trying to go, not stop.
Ooh, famous last words. No, I'm making you drive.
Oh, okay.
I'm just watching. You're the stunt man, remember? I just watch.
Gotcha. Hey, I did find another fire extinguisher.
Really?
Yeah, Roadrunner.
Did we mean to have extra fire extinguishers?
Do we mean to have any?
This would be the one that we had to use it on, you know it?
Hey, but it's already got like... It's already leaking, so...
Yeah, it's leaking coolant. It'll extinguish the fire. I've only caught maybe 4 or 5 on fire. The first one I ever caught on fire was my 1980 CJ5. It backfired through the carburetor, and gas was all over the intake and carburetor, and it went up in flames. And I ripped my jacket off, and I just started beating the carburetor with it, and it finally went out. I was terrified. Does it have oil in it, you think?
I hope so. I'm not gonna make a guarantee.
It's a little dark on the bottom side. What is that all about? Is it overfull? I hope that's not water in there, because the coolant passages are leaking. Why is it dark on the bottom, but then does it seem watery? It's kind of oily.
I don't know.
Maybe that's just the excess horsepower.
Oh, we're fine.
Okay, but flip it over. Why is it 5 quarts too full? I know it leaks like right here. I'm wondering if it's leaking coolant into the oil. That's what I'm worried about. So we don't need to really romp on it much until we can get that intake off and just make sure it's not milkshake in there. Regardless, it's got oil in it, so it'll be fine. Getting our favorite battery here, the handy dandy Optima, in a battery tray that's literally about to break in half. I'm just gonna go ahead and warn you right now, I have cranked on this Optima all freaking day trying to get another car to start. So if it sounds like it's weak, that's because I spent maybe 5 minutes straight just trying to crank something. And it still didn't die. That's how good Optimas are.
Bird crap. I love it. The weeds growing inside the door.
You getting that nice whiff of pee?
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it.
Is that cat pee? What flavor is that? So I stole the ignition switch for our AMC Rebel, and I put it back in this car. So I think that plug goes to that. It looks familiar.
Cobwebs all over the shifter. It's beautiful.
I really wish I had a good seat for this thing, because that is kind of the worst part about all this. God, that's hot. Wow. What did I touch? Something over here is cooking. Oh.
Still doing clutch things?
It still works. Should have brought some gas with us to see if we can prime it, but see if the filter's filling up.
I don't see anything. Well, yeah, it's full. There we go.
Ignore the smoke.
It's pretty smooth. Quiet up here.
Yeah. I need to dial it in a little bit, you know, get it kind of fine-tuned as far as that carburetor goes, because it was on a different car, but it's good. It's really good. These were literally brand new takeoffs, and they sat inside a building for 20 years, and they look brand new still. we didn't make it far. We aired up that one side and did not even think to check if the driver's side was good or not. And guess what, Briar?
It was not.
It was not.
Have you got it in gear?
I don't know, actually. It doesn't seem like it, does it? Now it is. Very creaky, isn't it?
A little bit.
Like it's trying to roll away. I feel better about that, don't you?
Much better.
That should run down a drag strip, right? Good. I like it. I like it a lot. We should rip all the front cap off of it, the doors, the trunk lid, everything to lighten it up, you know?
Oh yeah.
That would help.
Take out all the rust.
There'd be no car left. Dude, I love this car. I know it may not be obvious because I let it sit all the time, but I love this car.
Welcome back under the hood with Briar part. I don't even know. Right now, I'm cutting out these sections of the hood so we can put a hood scoop on. Maximum airflow for this little red dart to go drag racing.
Thing's about as sharp as a baseball bat.
I gotta say, this thing's legit now. Hopefully it flies off at speed. That'd be great. And we've got a nice little gap up under there for air to, you know, escape, of course, because that's what hood scoops are for. That right there is gonna be a nice little problem, so it's probably gonna start picking up. We've got 2 self-tappers per mount, or Briar's working on all of that. Well, only a slight issue with his intake. So this one was just a single plane that I had sit on the shelf, but I used these metal gaskets, and right here, you could see water, coolant, whatever, boiling up and leaking right here, which over time leaked into our oil. And as you saw us talking about how full it looked, when we came back and we looked at the dipstick, and it might be hard to tell, but it's a milkshake. And I know for a fact it's at those coolant passages. I've never had an issue with one doing that before, but I've also never really used those metal gaskets before like that. They're just crush gaskets. I did put a little RTV around the ports, but obviously that didn't help. So we're gonna pull this carburetor, intake, everything off of here, and we've got an upgrade for it. So while we're doing this, we might as well go to a better intake altogether. Well, I'll pull this valve cover off. I don't see anything wrong with this, do you? Just a little water in the oil, that's no problem, right?
I'm determined to make a car run on water.
Ooh, don't say that.
I'm sorry.
We're on a list now. We had to pull the valve covers off so we can get the intake out of the way. But yeah, that's water, all right. Sure is. So it's a good thing we quit while we were ahead, because when we actually cranked it up out in the field, the oil didn't look like this. But I've run it a little bit inside here, and it slowly started to look worse and worse. So I'm glad we know at least exactly where that leak is, or we would be in deep, word I can't say. Well, we saw a little bit of moisture get in, a little bit of rust has appeared. So it's a good thing we did this while we did it. But I'm gonna go ahead and pop the intake loose. She's glued in all right. I told you I glued it, but I guess something happened and it didn't want to seal properly. Hit the glue wouldn't let go. There we go. Milkshake, yes.
Yeah. Get that out of there. Yeah.
Well, at least the cam didn't rust. Yeah, that's not good. That is not good at all, Briar.
It's like
Sludge.
yeah.
What'd you say it was?
Oh, condensed milk.
Condensed chocolate milk, maybe. But you didn't want to try it?
No, I don't think it tastes like it.
I'm curious to see how bad this is gonna be. Briar's over there cleaning up rocker arms and push rods. So we're probably gonna have a little bit of oil and a little bit of water. I don't remember which one comes first. That's gross. That is very gross. Oh wow, straight milkshake. There goes a fresh oil change ruined by water. I mean, that literally has probably 30 miles on that oil change right there. And I cooked it. Yes, good job, Dylan. There's a better look at how nasty this is. Ew. Oh look, there's the oil. Finally peeked its way through there. That's not good. Now this may be something you don't want to do to an engine you actually care about, but we've put some gas in this jug here, and we're gonna dump gas all inside the intake, inside with the valve covers, with the rockers and everything sit, just to get all this old milky oil out of here. Really the best way to do it, honestly. I've done it before in the past and had a cam wipe a lobe on an engine a long time ago, and this is how I cleaned it out to get all the metal shavings out of it. So, maybe don't spill it everywhere, but it just runs all that old nasty oil right off. And what we've done, Briar's probably got the camera set up down there, all that gas goes right down into a bucket. How's it looking down there?
Nasty.
Nice. What we like to see. See, all that's clean now? That's good. We just poured some down in here, and it don't hurt to kind of soak up anything with a rag that we need to. But if you start from the top and work your way down, you can hear all that gas running right down in there. So now everything up under the valve cover's clean. So let's work on down in here, getting all that clean. That looks a lot better. What we're gonna do is let this sit overnight, evaporate, make sure everything is bone dry when we come out here. That gas will evaporate pretty quickly. Let that drain pan kind of do its thing. And once that is completely dry, you know, we're gonna make sure that everything's good, no gases in the intake ports or nothing like that. And then we will pour oil directly on top of the cam before we get started, just to make sure that it's got plenty of oil when we fire it up again. But hey, it's a lot better than what it was, that's for sure. Well, there you go. It's been a day. We have let this stuff sit overnight. Make sure that it's good and dry. Any little residue I will go through and clean up. Honestly, looks like the heads might have gone through some work before they got put on here. That's pretty awesome. I'm excited to see that. So, you know, again, I just went through and cleaned up and detailed all the stuff, that little junk here and there that didn't want to go away. So you can see it started to flash rust a little bit, but it'll be fine. It's not bad at all. I guess it might have, so I know it was boiling up right here, and maybe there was just something happened right here with the gasket, I guess, because I could see a little bit, looked like it was leaking out of here at this spot. Maybe it was in the back side, but I think it was right here. I know for a fact I saw it boiling up right there. So it just was leaking coolant right from the intake, right into the intake valley. So it didn't run long with coolant in it. Don't worry about that. And here we are with our new intake. So this is the old one. It is, you know, a pretty decent intake. What we have here was an original dual plane, I believe, that has been milled down. It could, I think it's been milled. Looks like it is. And then they opened it up, ported it pretty good. So it did have some pretty decent flow. The only thing is it's basically a stock intake made into an aluminum one. So you're not really getting a ton of runner length. That's the downside of it. This is why we went with this RPM air gap. Air gap meaning, look at there, you can go right up under the intake, all that airflow. So we don't have the heat crossover up under the intake anymore, so no hot air up under the base, so that'll keep air and fuel cool. Also, we have a ton of different ports. You can see how we had to get creative to block off most of them. And then we have a dual plane. So yes, this one was a single plane. This is a dual plane, but with this engine, it makes a lot of its torque and its power at a lower RPM than this dual plane will really like benefit from. So this is a good option. And check out how different lengths the runners are. See how much taller it is and how much longer those runners can be? That's good. That's a good thing right there. So we're gonna put this intake on in its place. I love these intakes. I put them on any small block I ever do. This is the intake of choice. You cannot go wrong with these right here. They are absolutely good units. So hopefully it clears the hood. If not, we'll just cut bigger holes in it. But we still have to get our nitrous plate on there. We've got a ton of upgrades here ready to go, and I'm liking what I see so far. Here we are. We've got new intake gaskets. Our china walls are built. And whew, that took a lot of work, but everything's back together. We've got the carburetor bolted on, intake has settled down in its place, radiators hooked back up, our throttle linkage. We had to modify a little bit, had to bend it out to kind of clear the intake runners, but all that is hooked up, and it looks like it's gonna work, I hope. Give her a little gas, because this thing is completely empty right now. Ooh, let me crawl up in here. There's no coolant in it yet. Just wanted to see if it would run. We got oil pressure. Woo! Might need a little more timing with those longer intake runners. No noise or anything, no clattering. Yeah, sounds good. Running smooth. Nice. You love to see it, you know? We backed the car out. We filled it up with water. We're gonna check for leaks real quick, and then we can take it for a drive. There's no thermostat, so if it was leaking, it would already do it by now. Which it doesn't have any pressure on it, but still, you would think something would happen. Nice. Blowing. Trying to get it up to temperature real fast. I'm sure that's good, right? Yeah. That's just for drag racing, you know? You don't want to have any extra accessories you don't need. So, fine. Well, it's been sitting here running for a good 10 minutes or so. No leaks yet. Cap has been on it. I think we're gonna be all right. We're not fully up to temperature just yet. We're still pretty low, but we've got great oil pressure. I think we'll just go ahead and take it for a test drive, see how it does. No nitrous. There's no bottle in it right now. This is just straight up as is. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a stumble weird, man. Because the whole engine's rocking real hard. You can feel the clutch pedal rising, and you're like, I don't know how far I gotta push this thing to shift the gear. I mean, it wants to go.
Oh,
it
yeah.
Definitely wants to go. See, if I roll into it, it's good. Some cars are just good, you know it? We're up to temperature, we're good. Yeah, I think if we adjust those secondaries a little bit, we'll have a lot better luck. Yeah. I think secondaries being opening too fast. I don't know, maybe it's just not enough, it's not enough air, or it's too much air, not enough fuel at the same time. I'll tell you what, getting in the first gear is not easy. The clutch, man, it's weird. You just gotta romp it, you know, you just gotta snap it. Oh yeah. That's what's the fun about a light car with a 4-speed, man. It doesn't care. It just goes. See if you can see the clutch. Watch the clutch pedal lift up when I romp on it.
All right. Oh my gosh.
That's really hard to figure out when you need to shift and how you need to shift, you know? Well, first test drive.
It still runs.
It still runs. I don't remember how to open the hood.
Yeah, she's smoking a little bit.
Where? Oh gosh. Oh, that's oil leaking. I can smell that. How do you open the hood on these cars? Well, we got back and there's oil everywhere. I mean, all on the firewall, just running down inside the intake. What we figured out was on these intake runners, they're so much taller and they actually butt right up against where the valve covers bolt. So what I did, I notched them. So you can see I cut a little relief cut there on each of the intake runners to hopefully see if that will fit. A lot of your aftermarket valve covers will come with this, but I had to just trim it out. And now when I put it on, it all sits flush, and especially with the gasket thickness, that should help us out. There's a little bit of moisture still in there, and we're just hoping and praying that maybe that's just residual from whenever it had water in the coolant before. Because when I have the valve cover off, you notice that all the oil that's sitting in the rockers still looks like oil. It looks like used oil, but it's still oil. It's not mixed with, you know, coolant. There's like little bits and pieces here and there that has some moisture in it, but the majority of it is just straight oil. So I'm hoping that that's just the fact of having a little bit left over. It's the same story with this side. I mean, it's all looks good. It looks like clean oil. There's a little bit on the top of the valve cover, but like I said, there's not as much as there was, so I'm hoping that maybe that's just residual from before. You can see my relief cuts on this side. Everything's clearing, so we're gonna put our gaskets back on, bolt these on, and just see if it leaks anymore. Everything's back together. We notched the valve covers like we said, cleaned up all the oil that was in the intake, and I actually tightened up the secondary door here, so maybe that'll help us with our bottom end bog. Maybe, we'll see. Over here in the oil, the coolant's still full. On the oil side, if you pull the dipstick, it's clean except for the very, very bottom. So we're thinking that maybe that it just has a little bit of residual in the bottom that didn't get fully cleaned out when we flushed it, and that it's just picking that up. So we're gonna take it for another test drive, you know, give it the beans and just make sure it doesn't leak anymore. And if it looks good from that point on, we're ready to go racing. dirt rattling here, ain't it?
It's a race car, it has to be.
Right. The thought process behind the secondaries is that if we restrict the airflow, that means that there's more fuel coming in on the secondaries. So hopefully that'll just tighten it up a little bit, and maybe, just maybe, it won't bog. Because I did have that secondary air door pretty loose, and maybe tighten it up will kind of get that hesitation out of it. Hello, first. Thank you. Was not ready for that. If you kind of ease into it instead of rolling your foot real hard into it, it actually seems pretty good. But you can kind of feather it with its 4-speed, Wow.
That was...
I was not ready for that.
Me either.
Not even slightly. Broke the clutch again. Dang it. Dang it! That throwout bearing keeps coming loose. Ah! Man! Should I try to float the gear or just go from third?
We're doing pretty good right here.
Come on, man! And then you know what? It took an act of Congress to get that stupid throwout bearing back in place. I had to pull the whole transmission and slide it back far enough to get it in there. Oh, great. It was good, too. It was running really good that go around. I'm glad this didn't happen at the track, though.
Yeah.
It's the second time. First time was when we did the first clutch, like the first burnout with it. I just wonder if it's the fact that maybe the engine's twisted hard enough that when the transmission's bolted to it, so you wouldn't think it'd be a problem. But I just want to spin tires. That's all I want. Is that too much to ask?
All right, my door's good.
Trying to keep some RPM up, ride the brake a little bit. Got a U-turn right here. Come on, come on. Yeah. Professional. The clutch just popped back up. That's weird. I'm not gonna touch that. That sounds dangerous. I mean, the clutch itself feels great. It's just the pedal keeps giving me so much trouble. I wonder if I'm mashing it too far or something. Like it's not adjusted right or something. I don't know. I just thought about getting on the lift.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it might be a little scary. Starting to buck real bad, ain't it?
A little bit.
Oop, oop, oop. I'm dying. I mean, I can shut it off and put it in a different gear though. I need to. Go ahead and put it in first gear before we hurt anything. Oh, there's a light here. I didn't see that. Well, hey, clearly a runway wire.
Oh, you're barely... I go that way some when you go. A little bit more. You're on. Always breaking stuff.
I know, if it's not one thing, it's another. Here's a moment of truth to see if our oil leak is fixed. I don't see anything. I mean, that right there was already there. I tried wiping all that I could. I mean, we did that, and it had oil all inside the intake the last time. So I think our leak is fine as long as it stays without water and coolant mix. And now the clutch is dead, so.
Hooray!
Yay! Well, exact same thing that happened last time. See that clutch fork finger thing? It's on the wrong side of the throwout bearing, so that's not good. This happened once. I think it's just because the pedal just needed to be adjusted and I forgot. But thankfully it was only one this time. Last time it did it to 2 of them and that was a nightmare. So we're gonna do some pry barring right here and see if it'll come back out. Oh, it's moving. Oh, come on now. Oh, move some. Well, that was not fun in the slightest. We had 2 pry bars on that thing, but check it out. Throwout bearing is out, but boy, is it kind of loose. I'm wondering if we damaged it. So Briar's gonna push the clutch in real quick for us. Let me tighten it up and just see. All right, go ahead and mash the pedal. Okay, let go. Mash it. Let go. I mean, it seems like it's working and there's a gap. It can still free spin. It's barely touching it. So let me take some of this adjustment out. And then we're gonna mess with this clutch real quick and just see if we can get it to where maybe, I think what was happening, I had it, pushed in too far, because whenever you would mash the clutch all the way to the floor, the clutch was already fully engaged. So to get it all the way down to the floor, you're having to push it way past what it needs to be. And I think, well, bless you, what I think is happening is that whenever you're doing that and this thing's at full RPM, when you push it in, it's pushing it past the little clutch finger. So we're gonna try and mess around with this and see if we can't fix that. So here's what's changed. We readjusted the clutch and figured out that one of the clutch fingers on the diaphragm was bent inward, so it's only engaging half the clutch. We fixed that, and now with the clutch being adjusted properly, before it would disengage and stop right about there. So if you mash the clutch to the floor, you're pushing that throwout bearing past everything. But now it goes all the way to the floor, no issue. And it's so much more predictable now. It feels like an actual good clutch this go around. The clutch still rises up, but hopefully it doesn't affect anything long term. We loosened it up a lot, didn't we? Yeah. That was a good bit of travel that we took out of it. Maybe it's when it's wound up so tight and you mash the pedal, like it's too much travel in it, So if we loosen it up a lot, maybe that'll help. It just happened again. I don't know, man. At least it happened in 4th gear. Yeah. Oh, don't die. I knocked it into 3rd. Just got to rev match it home. Something's wrong. I think the throwout bearing is so worn out that it's too bad. It's junk. But the problem is I don't have another throwout bearing, especially to get one to buy to borrow, because we'd have to pull the whole transmission out to do that.
No. Yeah. Not again.
Which luckily we wouldn't have to do the clutch, but. Pretty gracious, isn't it?
It hurts my soul.
Yeah, me too.
What a shame.
I don't know what to do about that, honestly. I just wonder, like, you can drive it, it's totally fine, normal. It's only whenever you really wind it real hard. But the clutch is lifted up because the engine's lifted up. So either we put a chain on the motor mount or we lower the clutch so low that whenever it's actually wound out real hard, you stomp the clutch, it's not pushing it past that point of travel. It's just going to kind of affect our drivability at least. But I think that's my only option at this point.
that's good.
Oh, we're getting kind of good at driving this thing without a clutch, aren't we?
Yes.
Kind of a shame.
Back up.
Well, that time did the throwout bearing in, so she's done for. And we created a new coolant leak out of our freeze plug. So we're gonna have to it's been leaking for a minute, looks like. So we're gonna have to JB weld that. But we're also gonna have to get a new throwout bearing. Yay!
We just want to love you, Dart, but you won't let us.
Transmission's ready to come out. Oh, I think.
Huh?
I don't know what that was. Oh boy.
You're in a predicament.
Not a lot of room in these little darts, I'll tell you that much. Not at all. That torsion bar cross member causes a lot of headache for no reason. But regardless, there we are.
Ta-da!
Make sure our new throwout bearing does the thing it's supposed to. Aha! It is the right size. See if I can get this old one out of here in 2 pieces. So
He don't look so good.
no, he's a little hurt. There's one half of it, and there's the other half. You know, it's one of those racing 2-piece throwout bearings, as you can see. This one's just a stock replacement here. You know, this one's a race bearing.
It'll do for now.
Yeah, this will just get us by. You know what I mean? Well, here you go. This is the new throwout bearing. This is what it's supposed to look like. All's good here. This is the original one, and as you can see, that's where it started pushing out. And I noticed that whenever we had fixed it the second time, this was kind of wobbly. So it was kind of doing like that, and I thought, that's a little concerning, but I went ahead and put it together anyway. So it was already compromised at that point, so that's probably what caused it to push out the last time, and it just too far. It broke it in half. So I think it was already on its way out, so maybe the clutch adjustment wasn't the problem at that point, I'm hoping. So now that we have a brand new one here, I hope that this should fix our situation. But if it doesn't, then the whole car can go in the dumpster for all I care.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, a couple hours later, and transmission's back in. See, got my foot on the clutch. We seem to adjust it where we liked it. It goes into first, second, third, and fourth, and it goes into reverse. Oh yeah, that's a good spot right there. The clutch feels really good. Like, it feels way better than it did before. So that's an improvement. You know, broken throwout bearings usually don't work that great. If nothing else works today, at least this thing sounds so good. That's the best part about it. It sounds like a race car. It may not be a race car,
That's all that counts.
but it sounds like one. Better get the temperature in, run in a little while. Oh, that clutch feels great. Hey, show a little gas. Maybe we got some. Look. It's got a new sending unit and tank, so that's a good sign. Oh yeah. Way better. Was that squeak there before?
I don't think so.
Interesting. It really sounds like it needs another gear, don't it? That's all she's got. We can use a good 5th gear, nice overdrive. That's all it is. Just roll into it. clutch starts to lift. So you don't really know how hard you can push the clutch, and I think that's what I was having trouble with. So, but besides that, we went through all 4 gears this time without breaking it. We're still moving, and the clutch still works. Yep, did it again.
Wow. Something's goofing.
Dang it. It just can't handle that extra RPM. It's too much for it. You'd think the clutch, being a stock style clutch, like just a cheapo replacement, would be the problem. But it's the throwout bearing that just keeps pushing past the clutch fork, man. I don't know. I just don't know. Cut it off. Go in first. Third gear works.
Throw it away.
I did say that, didn't I? Dang it, now I have to throw it in the dumpster. Back to the project. Excuse me? Well, as you saw, it happened again, and me and Briar tore into it so fast we didn't film a thing. We just wanted to get it done. We actually had to pull the transmission completely apart, had to pull the clutch and pressure plate out because the finger with the clutch was actually so far behind the throwout bearing that I could not get it to come out. And I've loosened up the pressure plate, and by the time I was done, I had gotten all 3 of the clutch fingers behind the throwout bearing. So we pulled the transmission back out. I still have to put all the shifter linkage and everything back in, but it is in. We've actually got everything lined up, tightened down, cross members back in. We still got to put the drive shaft in, but it's back together. I'm not quitting yet, but I'm a little frustrated. I'm not gonna lie, but it is what it is. It's okay, guys. I'm gonna figure this out. So what I'm doing right now is going through and Loctiting the pressure plate bolts, and then we'll put everything else back together. I could do this with my eyes closed at this point. I hope you can see that up in there, but the throwout bearing is moving, making good contact with all 3 clutch fingers. So, okay, here we go. Let's get this thing back together on the ground. We went through some major trial and error to make this clutch work. I was doing small incremental adjustments and then going out and testing it, and I probably had to do that about 10 or 11 times until I finally felt comfortable enough to where I don't think the throwout bearing is going to be an issue. Let me show you what I did. So on these clutches, this is a Borgenbeck style, so you have the 3 fingers that go onto the throwout bearing itself, and that's what activates your pressure plate. But they're actually adjustable. So look here. Might be hard to see, but there is a nut here that's actually welded from the factory so it doesn't move. I was able to adjust that to where I got the finger height just where I wanted it. So there was like a fine line between, is it gonna slip when you let off the clutch, or is it gonna raise out the fingers basically? This is not normal. So what's happened here is as this centrifugal force rotates and you have RPM increasing, the fingers were actually pushing out and causing the throwout bearing to be pushed backwards. That's why my clutch pedal was lifting up. So when it was at full RPM and lifting up, I'd push it so far so that the throwout bearing was pushing past those fingers. And I actually found another guy on YouTube who was experiencing the exact same thing. So now that we went back and forth and tried to figure out where these adjustments needed to be, it's actually very good. So you can romp on it, put some RPM to it, and shift gears. Now I have not done a full nitrous pass. I haven't even rode through the gears fully, But we're gonna load this thing up on the trailer now and just see can it actually survive a full drag strip pass. Well, we think the Dart's ready. We have clutch adjusted, we have the intake on, everything's back together. We're loading it up to go to Baileyton Drag Strip. It's an 8 mile local track here. And we're gonna see, will it hold up? I don't know. We're gonna put some 93 on it. We're gonna treat her right, don't you worry. You know, the nitrous bottle, she's gonna be nitrusing, gonna be looking really nice. So hopefully this thing holds together, but we've got a little bit of a drive to go, and then we'll unload her and get her on the track. We'll see how she does. Well, we're here at Baileyton. I'm gonna check the oil real quick. Yep, got oil in it. Perfect. Does it have coolant in it? Good enough. That concludes our pre-flight checks. We've tested it a couple times. Again, it works. It seems to work fine. I don't know. The first run I'm going to do is going to be no nitrous, just to kind of get a feel for the car. Second run, I'll actually do some nitrous with it. But, we probably should loosen this belt because it's like nearly a toothpick at this point. And look how much it's shredded. Yeah, it's squeaking pretty bad. It's slipping. Unless we got something we can spray on it.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Whoa!
Slick up the belt a little bit. Extra horsepower, you know? Perfect. Now it'll run 6s.
Yeah. Sounds like a race car at least.
Yeah.
He did a wheelie. Wow.
Okay, here we go. All right, first run, no nitrous. Thank you, sir. Throttle stuck on her. No. run no 80.
No, it was a 988.
Did it say what time I ran?
988.
I broke the throttle.
God,
I don't know what. 988?
that's what it said?
Holy cow, that's way faster than I was thinking. Dang. Yeah, I think I broke the carburetor. Not even joking. Like it won't return.
Are you serious?
And I didn't even like
Stomp it?
I didn't launch hard. But whenever I let off after third gear, it didn't stop. I broke it. The throttle got stuck. The accelerator pump diaphragm rod bent. And now when I try to mash the pedal, it just bends the rod back. We'll try and unscrew it here. See if we can do a little work to it. I've never had that happen before. That's a strange one. Let's see, take this out of here. Can't go either way, can you? To my knowledge, that rod's not supposed to be at a over 90-degree angle. So the throttle returns, so it's okay now, but we just need that accelerator pump diaphragm to be able to function, because that's what gets us off the line. We'll see if I can bend it back to how it's supposed to be, but that's not fun at all. Bend it back. Less of a severe angle. I don't really know what it's supposed to look like, but let's try that. Not be too much. It'll bend backwards. Here, let's try this. We found the weak link.
Yeah.
Accelerator pump rod. Well, I think we're good. I got the rod bent pretty much to where I think it's supposed to look like, and it'll go all the way to full throttle. So we're good now. Well, our fan belt broke, as you can see. It doesn't do anything anymore. So it still runs. I mean, it stays pretty cool because there's no thermostat in it, but I'm gonna try and cool it off so we can make another pass real quick, because I'd really like to get it back out there. It was only like at 205 sitting here. So get her cooled off real quick. Well, my GoPro died, but I'll show you what's going on. We're going nitrous this time. I'm gonna let her rip. Hopefully I can do a better time. I lost my fan belt, so now we're fighting heat too. So it's all fun and games until something blows up. But Briar made a good point. So we don't really know how many passes we're gonna have of this car left. So I have the nitrous on. I'm gonna try and launch and then hit nitrous in second gear instead of trying to, you know, get out of the hole with nitrous, because just at least try to get an idea of it. That's how you blow clutches up, like we did last time. So if we can do a good second gear nitrous hit, I feel pretty good about that. I run slower.
I don't know.
I don't know if the nitrous was working. I mean,
I didn't think I heard it, but
that was fairly consistent to.
did you open the can?
Yeah, I thought I did. I hope it's full. Well, it was when we put it in, or it had some in it.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I'm getting full throttle on this thing either. I'm gonna check that. My nitrous wide open throttle switch is right here, and whenever we were mashing it earlier, it would not engage it. So the pedal wasn't fully engaging. This had come loose. So I adjusted the cable, and now when we go wide open, listen, you hear it click. So we should be good on that front. So we're gonna try it again. So there was no nitrous on that pass. That's why I was so dang slow. I'm gonna do it.
Oh my gosh.
Now it's a race car. Can't believe we forgot about that. We had it on the other one.
I know. That's an extra 4 seconds right there.
4 seconds. All right, let's try it again. Well, we ran a 9.7 flat, but my 60 foot was a 2.2 on the last one, and then I did a 2.3. I left a little softer, hoping that it wouldn't sputter, but it actually hurt me. I think we could have got into a 9.6, especially if I didn't, you know, hit the nitrous in the second gear. We might even get in a 9.5, but the problem here is this. So we come in, we knew it was kind of puking oil out the dipstick, but this time there's a little bit of coolant mixed in with it. Well, you know, it could have been coming out the overflow because it's wet.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but there's a little bit of water on the side of the inner fender because, I mean, this thing's been run pretty hard. So should I ease into first gear and hit nitrous after I launch? I mean, for the final hurrah, I guess.
We could.
Because if I ease into it, it doesn't sputter, but I lose time on my 60 foot. Anyway, I'm pretty proud for a 9.7 for this old car. That's not bad. Well, Briar said I had to do the last pass for all the beans. So I've been leaving slow and hitting nitrous in second gear. But Briar says I need to do it in first gear.
Why not? I mean, we waited all this time.
Yeah, so why not scatter it while we're here? So hopefully I just pour it all over the track, you know, dump everything out. Yeah, ruin everybody's fun. I'm feeling pretty good about it, I reckon. We'll see what happens, and if the inner fender catches most of the fluid, we'll be fine. Is that irresponsible? Probably, but okay.
How about that?
We were cooking on that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
9.3 with a 2.18 60 foot. The clutch did not like that.
No.
No. Did you hear it slipping all through?
Yeah,
first?
the first I was like, man, that was a little rough.
First gear, it was slipping through the clutch. Second gear, it caught up, and then third gear, it, you know, RPMs never dropped. So that was good though.
I didn't think it'd get a 9.3.
I didn't either. But hey, we started out as a 9.8 to a 9.9 to a 9.7 to a 9.3. That ain't bad.
No, we
That
keep
ain't bad.
improving.
The car is not dead, so I'm gonna just go ahead and call it a win. Yeah, we're done. We're steaming. She's puking out coolant somewhere. Man, nailed it. It could be puking out of here. I need to I need to make an overflow, but I don't have any parts to do that. And I didn't think about that before we left. So, but to improve, I mean, a 9.3 that equals like what, a high 14. Let me do a little math. Let me just check. There's a website you can do like a calculator to go from a 1/8 mile to a 1/4 mile. It's not exact, but it's pretty close. That equates to a 14.5.
Wow. Okay.
Not bad. Not bad. I mean, I was hoping to break into the 10s at anything, but this thing just ran a 9.3 on nitrous.
Hey, that's what I said
And
before
that's
we
what
got
you
here.
said. You said you
Low
did
to
say-
mid-9s.
You did say low to mid-9s. I guess I just need to start trusting you.
I mean, I was right last time at Moparty too.
You were right. See, I just need to believe what you say, and I'll just go with that. Maybe you have more faith in my driving skills than I do.
Yeah. You don't believe in it.
Or is it the car? Is it the car or me? It's definitely the car, right?
I mean, it has to be. It wants to go.
It doesn't want to go. But a 9.3, I'm proud of that. So let's get this thing loaded up. We're going to head home. Alrighty, folks, that's going to do it for today's video. This thing was so much fun, but gosh, this video took forever. It took so long, in fact, that I even grew a beard in the process. So if you don't mind, please support the channel. Go down in the link in the description below. Order any t-shirt or sticker, guys, because all that goes directly back into funding projects like this, putting cars back on the road, and even putting cars back on the drag strip where they belong. Now, this car ran a 9.3. Is that really impressive by today's standards? Not really. But considering where this car came from, considering what is in the car, a 9.3 is a very respectable time, even if it had to have nitrous to do the job. But that's great. I love this car, and I really could see this thing going into the mid-8s, maybe the low 8s.
high 7s? Probably not, but I still think there's a lot of cool stuff that's possible with it. The only problem with this platform is that it really doesn't have a lot of aftermarket support to handle these kind of upgrades. I mean, there's zero room for headers unless you cut the inner fenders out, and you're kind of at the mercy of just what's there already. So we could build a little bit of a hotter engine. I mean, even the 360 would help. Hotter cam, better gearing. There's still some stuff left on the table for this car, and I'm not done with it yet. I love ripping 4 speeds in this car, and it's just so much fun, and it sounds amazing running down the track. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video just as much as I did, and I really appreciate y'all watching to the very end. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.